Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and it's Winterreise Wednesday. Yes, indeedy. Our ongoing, endless survey of Winterreise, there we go, recordings, in addition, of course, to the 20 or 40 or so that we talked about in my repertoire video about Schubert's Die Winterreise. It's just an endless font of fun, or sort of something like that. Yeah, and today, first of all, we have to begin. We're doing a little Winterreise cleanup. Well, or should I say Fischer-Dieskau cleanup, because I found a few more Fischer-Dieskau recordings banging around, some of which you mentioned. And I just felt I should point them out. Here's this one. This is the Warner 1962, I think, one with Gerald Moore, because I talked about his 1955 one earlier with Gerald Moore. Well, here it is in stereo, and supposedly, well, some of you think this one is a little better. He's still an amazing voice, and it is indeed a wonderful performance. This was the Japanese EMI, and I didn't see it originally because I had it filed by the spine, and that is what was on the spine. So who knew what it was? It was the Fischer-Dieskau, later Warner Winterreise from 63. Yeah, it says 1963 down here. So hopefully. So there's that one. Next, it's amazing. We have Fischer-Dieskau and Daniel Barenboim. Now, some of you have absolutely raved about this particular Winterreise. Again, he was in very good voice. This was 1980. I mean, he was getting up there, but he could certainly still sing. But what most of you have talked about is Barenboim himself being an absolutely wonderful, sensitive interpreter of the music as well, and he is. There's no question about it. There are many, many, many beautiful moments here involving the piano, the accompaniment, and the cooperation between soloist and accompanist. Because actually, you sort of need, Gerald Moore is an amazing accompanist, but he is more traditional in his role as someone who takes a backseat to the singer. Barenboim doesn't take a backseat to anybody. Barenboim has attitude. Oh, has he got attitude? Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's why Klemperer liked him, because when the two of them did the Beethoven Concerti, Barenboim could give as good as he got, even as a youngster. It's because he was short, I think. Short people, they have that Napoleon complex thing going. Anyway, whatever the reason, Barenboim is a superb Schubert accompanist, and he and Fischer-Dieskau really do play off of each other. And so I think it's really quite lovely, and a very, very fine performance for those of you who are into that sort of thing. And I know a lot of you are, so I had it there somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, so there that was. Also in our housekeeping department, in my original repertoire video on Die Winterreise, I mentioned the fact that Hyperion, when they did their big box of all the Schubert lieder, broke it up into its two parts, because Schubert published it originally in two pieces, 12 songs each. And so they did it in publication order or composition order, whatever they did. It was stupid. I'm sorry. Much as that was the most wonderful set in the universe in a lot of ways, that was really, really silly. I mean, so they should have kept it together. But as they originally released it, by the way, in volume 30 of the complete Schubert stuff. Well, it turns out, as some of you mentioned, volume 30 is here in the 30 Years of Hyperion series with a separate jacket, with the tiny original jacket here. And so that it was available. I don't think this is still available technically, but it's not hard to find, from third-party sellers and whatnot. So if Matthias Goerner and Graham Johnson are your thing, and this is one of the great Winterreises. It's just marvelous. It really is. I pointed out in my original talk, its attention to dynamics and phrasing. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, you can get it all on one disc, because the big Schubert box is long gone too. So what are we going to do? I don't know. So there is that. So that was housekeeping. Now we have to talk about one of the new ones that you mentioned. These are mostly, I think all of these are versions that you mentioned. I mean, I've got another dozen or two of them sitting around. But yeah, this is really special. I love this recording. I love it. It's fabulous. Martti Talvela with Ralf Gothóni piano, real wonderful pianist as well, on Bis. Now, this is an early Bis. It's Bis number 253, and it still has the distributed by Qualiton Imports label, and it has the wonderful warning, the Warnung, the famous Bis warning. There's the warning. I love it. Warning, see back page. See back page, which is like, in 50 languages. And then it says in 50 languages, if you look at the back page, warning! Contrary to established practice, this recording retains the staggering dynamics of the original performance. This may damage your loudspeakers, but given first-rate playback equipment, you are guaranteed a truly remarkable musical and audio experience. Good luck. Oh, Robert von Parr, the guy who invented Bis, he was the king of chutzpah when it came to this stuff. He really was. But he did make amazing sounding recordings. That is true. I mean, he had quite the audio system because, I was there. I saw it. So, yeah, okay. Anyway, this was the original Bis release. And the wonderful thing about this is that Talvela is a bass, a real bass, a Boris Godunov style, big, dark bass. And Winterreise isn't the happiest piece of music in the universe. It can certainly take a healthy dose of darkness, but the thing that really I think is marvelous about this performance is that Talvela doesn't sound heavy at all where he's not supposed to. I mean, yes, he has that implacable sense of Stygian, Stygian doom when the music requires it. But in Die Post and Die Krähe and Mut and all the ones that require a certain, mobility of the voice. The trouble with bass voices is that they're very, very heavy. They're like that giant ship that ran into the Chesapeake Bay Bridge in Baltimore. You can't steer them. Once it gets going, it just keeps going, from sheer inertia in that direction. And bass voices are kind of like that. Notwithstanding which, Baroque composers, and others wrote wild coloratura for bass voices, and hear them move around like that is really kind of astonishing. And Talvela does that. He can lighten his timbre when he needs to. He doesn't always sound like, the death scene of Boris Godunov, the Grand Inquisitor in Don Carlo. I mean, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds perfectly flexible and beautiful, and he can turn on a dime when he needs to, which is really the cool thing. So I thank you, actually, the people who mentioned this performance, because I'd quite forgotten about it. I listened to it again just the other day, and it was like, wow, this is just fabulous. Oh my goodness. Give it a shot if you haven't heard it. It's different from all the other Winterreises out there, but a very legitimate, very serious effort with not a shred of, watch me do this-ism. It's all in the music. It's absolutely beautiful. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me for another Winterreise Wednesday. Take care.